All right, Knicks fans, I need you to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to break down might finally answer a question that has haunted this fan base for 3 straight years. 3 years of watching Karl Towns get whistled for more offensive fouls than anybody else in the league. 3 years of screaming at the TV every time he throws that off arm into a defender's chest in the paint. And now, out of nowhere, in the middle of a championship run, the coaching staff might have actually cracked the code. If you're as tired as I am of watching KT get flagged every single time he backs a guy down, stick around, because this is a game changer, and I promise you it's worth every minute. But before we get into it, do me a favor and smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it takes you 2 seconds. Let's get into it. So here's the situation. During that blowout win over the Atlanta Hawks, Towns did something we barely ever see from him. He wasn't grinding it out on the low block, backing his man down, drawing contact, and inevitably getting called for an offensive foul. Instead, he was out on perimeter, running the offense like a point guard. And I mean that literally. The big man was initiating plays, reading the floor, making decisions with the ball in his hands 30 feet from the rim. And it worked. It worked so well that it might have just unlocked the exact solution to a problem that has plagued this team, and honestly plagued Towns personally for 3 full seasons. Now, let's rewind for a second, because if you followed this team closely, you know this hasn't been an easy relationship. For almost an entire season, there was real tension between Towns and his head coach over how KT was operating down low. Fans were frustrated. Commentators kept bringing it up on every broadcast. And honestly, it felt like this issue was never going to get solved. Towns led the entire NBA in offensive fouls for 3 consecutive seasons. 3 years in a row. Think about that for a second. That's not a fluke. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. And it wasn't just hurting his own numbers. It was hurting this team in critical moments, taking him out of games, putting him in foul trouble, and giving opposing coaches free possessions they had no business getting. But somehow, in the middle of the playoffs, something shifted. Towns and his coach found a way to work together, and it paid off in the biggest way possible. It helped push this team all the way to a championship. Let that sink in for a moment, because as frustrating as this journey has been, we are talking about a title. But now the real question everybody in this fan base should be asking is this. Can they keep it going? Can this new perimeter role become a real, sustainable part of the offense for an entire regular season? Not just a playoff adjustment? Because if it can, we might be watching Towns finally shake off a label that has followed him around for years. If you're nodding your head right now because you remember exactly how many times you yell at your screen over a phantom offensive foul call, drop a comment below and tell me your most frustrating KD foul moment from the last 3 years. I want to hear it. And trust me, the comment section on this channel does not disappoint. Here's the thing about old habits, though. They don't just disappear overnight, no matter how good a playoff run looks. During the 2026 regular season specifically, Towns was still getting hammered by both local and national broadcast crews for those exact same offensive fouls. At one point before Christmas, he had 7 more offensive fouls than anyone else in the entire league. 7 more than anybody. That's not a small gap. That's an embarrassing gap. And it turned into a recurring storyline after almost every single game. Every post-game show, every recap, somebody was talking about KT's fouls again. And look, his teammates noticed too. The team captain had a message for him, and it was blunt. He basically told Towns that he needs to control what he can control and stop giving referees any excuse to blow the whistle. According to reporting from a New York Post, the message was something along the lines of, KD just needs to work on not using his off arm. They've tried explaining it to him, and he's getting better. But even the small taps he makes end up getting called as offensive fouls. So it's really about an adjustment period. Now, I respect that perspective. I really do, because it's coming from the leader of this team and somebody who's earned the right to speak on this stuff. But if you ask me as a fan, that take was missing something important. It never really considered whether Towns could impact winning at a high level without living in the post at all. It assumed the fix had to come from technique down low, when maybe the real fix was somewhere else entirely. And that's exactly what the coaching staff figured out. Because let's be honest, this guy can shoot from 3 like a wing. He reads the game at an elite level, and he's got the kind of size advantage that makes defenders look silly, unless you happen to be playing a 7-footer with historic length. He's basically got the skill set of a point guard trapped inside a center's body, and he clearly loves letting it fly from outside the paint. So the staff work with him to actually build that into the offense, to make it real, to make it repeatable, not just a cute highlight during a random regular season game. If you're new here, this is the kind of breakdown you're going to want more of, so go ahead and hit subscribe while you're thinking about it, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. It really helps us keep this channel going and keep bringing you this kind of analysis. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. When the team was struggling against the Hawks in that playoff series, they didn't panic and go back to the same old approach. Instead, before Game 4, the coaching staff and Towns cooked up something new together, something that ended up being genuinely brilliant. And according to one of the assistant coaches, who spoke about this early in the following preseason, an entire summer of dedicated game planning is going to give Towns even more room to grow into this playmaking role. That's not a small detail. That means this wasn't some one-off adjustment born out of desperation in a playoff series. This is something the organization is actually building around intentionally for the long haul. The coaching staff clearly knows exactly where Towns feels most comfortable when he's setting up plays. And just as importantly, they know how to position the rest of the roster to take full advantage of it. Now, let's be fair here, because I'm not saying Towns should abandon the post completely. Arguably, he still is most dangerous when he's operating inside, using his size and skill to create easy looks for himself or kick out to open teammates. That part of his game isn't going anywhere, and honestly, it shouldn't. But now that the Knicks have found a second way to let him shine away from the paint, KD finally has a real shot at losing that unwanted crown as the league's foul leader, and honestly, as a fan, that would be one of the most satisfying storylines of the entire season to watch play out. Think about what that actually means for this roster. A stretch big who can genuinely initiate offense from the perimeter changes matchups completely. It forces opposing defenses to make impossible choices. Do you put your center on him and get dragged out to the three-point line? Do you switch a guard onto him and get bullied inside if he decides to attack? There is no clean answer for the other team, and that is exactly the kind of problem you want your franchise center creating for opponents every single night, not just in a playoff series against one specific team. So here's my honest take as a fan who sat through 3 years of frustration watching this exact issue play out over and over again. I don't want to see this treated as some cute little wrinkle they pull out occasionally when things get tough. I want to see this become a real, consistent, season-long weapon. Because if the Knicks actually commit to this, if they build entire sets around Towns operating from the perimeter, we could be watching one of the most versatile bigs in the entire league finally reach his ceiling on both ends of the accountability spectrum. Less foul trouble, more playmaking, and a defense that genuinely cannot plan for him. Before I let you go, I want to know what you think. Do you trust this new perimeter role to actually stick for a full 82-game season? Or do you think old habits are going to creep back in the second the pressure ramps up again? Drop your prediction in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with another Knicks fan who's been complaining about these fouls just as much as you have. That's how this channel keeps growing. And honestly, that's how we keep this conversation going all season long. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.